What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be installing a set of Dobinson rear springs on this 2025 Tacoma to try to solve the rear sagging issue after we've loaded it down with 300 pounds of constant weight from overland setup. These are the 819 springs. That's, I think, part number CS59-819 to be exact. They're rated for 175 to 330 pounds for the hybrid, which this is. So we're going to be right there at that max limit. And try to see if we can get the lift we need out of it, because if that weight is supposed to be 1.25 inches of lift. Right now we are sitting completely level with the front with this amount of weight on the truck, which originally from the factory this came with about 1.5 inches to 1.75 inches rake when I measured it when I first bought the truck in July. So we're hoping that from the current way it's sitting that we're gonna get about a good 3 inches of lift out of it, because off-roading recently on a Georgia Traverse trip, especially loaded with another 200 or 300 pounds of weight in the truck, the bump stops only have about 2 inches of travel at this point, and I mean just every small dip in the road is bottoming out on the bump stops, harsh shit. So hopefully with this we're going to get back to our factory level at least, or more, 4 or 5 inches of travel out of it. I also have a set of front Dobinson springs, 822s, that's going to be going on in a future videos. If you'd like to see that, click the like button, subscribe so you don't miss out on that one. Hoping to get a few inches of lift out of it. It's supposed to be 2 inches for weight, which we don't have any weight on the truck at the moment in the front. So hoping to get about 2.5 inches of lift out of it for the moment, with about 1/2 inch to maybe 1 inch rake unloaded on the truck. Hoping that with all the loaded gear, eventually winch and bumper in the front, we're going to sit pretty level for camping trips. At least that's the goal. We also have a Tahoe T18 bow rider boat that has about a 300 pound tongue weight or more, which normally squats the truck at the hitch about 2.5 inches. So we're going to see if we can get a little bit better lift out of that too, and towing capability with it. Took some measurements earlier already. We're sitting at about 37 inches at the fender flare to the ground, which is about 22 inches from the center of the hub to the fender flare. So that's where we're at currently. Like I said, I had about 1.5 inches, 1.75 rake originally from the factory. So we'll see what we can do with this. We're going to attempt to do this install with a high lift jack and just a socket wrench and a pair of crescent pliers, and see if we can do this right here in the driveway. So we'll see how it goes. Alright guys, so the first thing we're going to need is a 17mm socket to get the sway bar disconnected. The top of the shock is a 19mm socket. We're probably going to use a adjustable wrench. You're going to need a 5/16 wrench or another adjustable wrench to hold the top of the shock still so it doesn't spin as you try to take the nut off. Get that done. Alright guys, now we're going to get the top nut off the shock here. You're going to need a 5/16 wrench to hold the shock from spinning, and adjustable pliers or a crescent wrench. Highly recommend a 19mm ratcheting wrench for this, because it's going to make the job a lot quicker. Alright, now we got that off, we can jack the truck up and see how this goes. Dude, you guys, I just made a huge mistake. I just got one spring on the truck. Thought I was filming the entire thing. Totally missed the driver's side. Entire long video of getting the spring in and out, all the complications I have with it, or not complications. So here we go for the driver's side. All right guys, we're gonna try this again. Apparently I didn't hit record on the driver's side. My bad. It went pretty smooth. We were able to get the spring out. Had just enough height on the high lift jack to get it to drop out. We dropped the top pad or coil spring cushion spacer gasket that's off the top of it. We had to go back in and put it back in. So trying to make that mistake this go round. Not sure if I said it in the first video, but a 19mm ratcheting wrench would make it a lot easier to get that top shock nut off. But continue on with this side, and we may take the ABS brake line sensor bracket loose this time, because it did get pretty tight on the other side, but we did have enough room to get it out. So let's see how this side goes. we got an 8mm here now. Seems to feel a little better. So let me get this off. Like I said, 19mm ratcheting wrench would make this job much easier. Well worth buying. Take our shock hardware off the top so I don't drop it. Now we'll continue jacking the truck up to get this spring out. See how we're going. I'm not sure if I mentioned it, might have been in the earlier video that I did not record, but got the truck chalked in the front wheels, got it 4 low, park brake applied in park. That we don't have to worry about kind of rolling or moving with this high lift jack. I'll go ahead and take this ABS brake line bracket loose. It looks like it's 10mm. I'll get it out real fast. So that's actually gonna be a 12mm bolt in here holding the ABS bracket on. I'm gonna zip that out real quick so we don't have to worry about stretching that line too tight like we did on the other side. Yeah, that'll give us plenty of stretch now to get the rest of the truck up without having to worry about tearing the ABS line. Spring is loose, but I'm going to go up because I know I've got to go up higher to be able to fit this aftermarket spring back in because it's about 1 inch taller. Close from there, as you can see, the truck started to swing to the right side. The whole high lift jack's tilted over right now. Some of the dangers with using a high lift jack is worry about something getting off centered like this. Come all the way back down with the truck and try that again. Shock line back up. I'll get the high lift jack a little bit further over this time. See if we can get it to sketchy there. Gonna get the stock spring out. This is the, I'm not sure what you call it, it's not a top hat, but just a spring spacer. Just adds a rubber middle between the spring and the frame of the truck so you're not like metal on metal. So we'll get the aftermarket spring comparison. Guys, as you can see here, in comparison, got about 1 inch taller coil spring with the aftermarket. We got more coils at the top. This is a progressive rate spring, so the more you load the truck, the stiffer the spring gets, which hopefully is going to help with our camping load or towing our boat. We'll find out after this video. Subscribe if you want to see the review. Okay, so like I said in the first video that I didn't record, make sure this goes back on the top before you put it back in the truck. All right, guys, so it looks like we're not getting enough articulation to drop down enough to get the new spring in since it's longer. What I'm going to do is lower back down, take the sway bar link off the other side to see if that'll help drop us down on this side a little bit more. It's our lowrider Tacoma. All right, now that we got both sway bar links disconnected, we'll see if we can get enough drop out of the axle now to get the longer spring in. just a little shy. That's my high lift jacks for breakfast. Well, after that, I'm gonna see if we can maybe get it in using the Trailhunter OEM rock sliders here. I've jacked the truck up from that point before. Let's see if we can get enough height off of that. Here, same car hold brakes and full weight. Springs will skin up. I'm unskinned, thank God. Wife's still aggravated, but spring is in. Alright, we're gonna lower the truck back down. Alright guys, so thanks to my wife for coming out here and assisting, cranking the truck up, holding the brake. It was getting a little shifty on me. Didn't really want to amputate a finger today. Got the other spring in, it skinned up a little bit. Not sure what the issue was on this side, maybe something to do with the track bar. The other side was pretty simple, or maybe now with the new springs in the other side, it was just a lot more preload. Couldn't get the articulation on the jacks like this to just clear enough room. We had I mean, you'll see in the video, we had jacked up a lot to make this spring get in there. But now what we're gonna do is get our shock hardware back on the top, tighten down hand tight. You have to hold on to the piece anyway, so it's really hard to do any torque specs on it. Gonna snug up the sway bar links on both sides since we took both of them loose, and then we'll go for a test ride.
What they do? Buy me a new car, by the way, Toyota. I got it. You making like a tutorial or something?
Yeah, it's not real soft. Don't forget to put your ABS bracket back in place. Alright, got that all tightened down. Like I said, a 19mm ratcheting wrench would make this much simpler install or job. Now I'm just going to tighten up the other sway bar link and go for a ride. Alright guys, so my initial impressions, first test drive, doing a little 6-mile loop around my house with some railroad tracks, some bigger speed humps, hitting them at 30-40 miles an hour, a lot faster than I normally would go. The first shock to me is actually not a placebo, I guess, but it's a lot higher than I expected it to be. I mean, I haven't measured yet. I don't know if we got 2 inches or 3 or 4 inches out of the lift, but just climbing in the truck and driving the truck right now, you can really sense that the truck is sitting up much higher than it was in the beginning before the lift. As far as the speed bumps, I'd say it's a little more springy, a little less damped, which kind of be expected, a stiffer spring and not changing any of the dampening. Obviously the shock's not adjustable, but smooth. I wouldn't say harsh at all, or like that, very stiff, like unloaded truck bed, type of ride. Not feeling anything like that. I mean, I'd say it's really smooth. The truck's driving better because with the back up and the front back down where it should be, the steering's a lot more planted. When it was sagging in the rear and just overweighted, the front wanted to kind of float around a little bit. The assisted driving and things like that were having trouble which we'll see how this turns out after we put the front Dobinson springs on and lift the front back up as well, which I think with it being stiffer too and the rear being stiff, it's going to drive a lot better. And as impressed as I already am on these few miles of driving around with the rear springs, I believe the front springs are going to give me exactly what I need, because even the front on this truck is kind of soft and likes to bottom out, hit the bump stops, or internal bump stops pretty easily, which already scares me with these shocks blowing out on the top hats of the 4th gen Tacomas, which I've also ordered a solution for that as well. So if you want to see that, remember to hit the subscribe button, throw a like out there if you're finding any of this useful, or watching me almost die or amputate a finger doing this with a high lift jack. Here to entertain you guys, but we're about to take another 360 view with the drone, see what the before and after is going to look like, head back to the house, take a few measurements, and then put the boat trailer on it to see what kind of sag we get with the weight of it on there now. Yeah, just got back from the test drive. We're going to take some after measurements, see how much lift we got out of that install. All right, looks like we're sitting at about 105 millimeters or 1,000. Which is 39.5 inches. We were at 37 inches before, about 940. So that gives us about 2.5 inches of lift. And measure the other side, it's sitting the same. So looks like we got about 2.5 inches out of these springs. They're from where it was sitting, which is closer back to stock than it was. And we're probably getting maybe an inch of lift, 3/4 of an inch of lift out of these. All right, guys, so I'm gonna do the boat trailer tongue test now. My boat weighs about 2,600 pounds. Has a tongue weight of at least 300 pounds, not really sure exactly how much. I know when the truck was stock, it would squawk the rear hitch 2.5 inches, just loading the boat onto the trailer hitch here. So we're gonna take a measurement real quick, see where we're at now, lower the tongue down and see if we've gained anything as far as that goes with these progressive rate springs. All right, looks like the top of the hitch here is sitting right about 500 millimeters or 19.5 inches unloaded. We'll see. All right, we got the jack off the ground. Let's see what our measurements come out to now. Looks like we're sitting at about 450 over the top of the hitch or 17.5. So still getting about 2 inches of squat out of the boat, which, like I said, it's a pretty heavy tongue weight there. Decided to double check the fender measurements. It looks like we are sitting at 38.5 with the boat. So it looks like we have about maybe an inch of squat, so not too terrible. All right, guys, so it's the day after the rear spring install. They've finally settled down. Ended up with about 3/4 to 1 inch of lift over stock. That's with 300 to 350 probably constant pounds of weight in the back of the truck right now with the tent. It's about what I expected. Not unhappy with that at all. The front springs are going to be going on in a couple of days. They're the Dobinson 822, so they're meant to be a 2-inch lift with weight, which eventually we're going to be doing a bumper and a winch on this truck. So we'll see kind of how that settles out. As of right now, I'm expecting these springs, the front springs, to give me about a 2-inch or 2.5-inch lift. So that's going to end up sitting leveled, which isn't going to be good for camping, because when I load another 200 or 300 pounds on the back of this truck, we're going to probably still have a little bit of a squatted look. So we may do airbags on the rear or one of the bump stop solutions. Just depends on how much the front sags back down after we add the bumper and winch. The other option would be to go to the Dobinson 821 springs, because according to Dobinson's page, with the 819s to the 821s, it's going to be another inch of lift for the same weight. So we'll see when we cross that bridge later down the road. But otherwise, happy with the install. Glad it's over. Glad we didn't lose a finger. Stay tuned for more entertainment.